On July 11th, 2019, the phrase "I could run through a wall" was spoken yet again by Coach Marks. While this comment could be overlooked by many people who haven't gone through our experiences, this was a very powerful thing to hear in the right lecture hall by our entire lacrosse team. Our lacrosse coaching staff loves saying this, especially after the speech that leads up to it. This particular time was before a state quarterfinal game against higher seed and longtime rival Matamidi. Coach Duffy, the 2015 cadet colonel who had came back from college for a year to coach, had just given an amazing pregame speech with examples from an Army paratrooper after Coach Marks had already given us all the usual rundown, giving us lineups, what plays we need to work on, and the state tournament roster. The speech from Coach Duffy had easily given me goosebumps, and I'm pretty sure most of the kids in the room could agree. We had gone an entire season being continuously disrespected by the league. This occurred when we were taken out of the top 10 after having beaten Lakeville North, a top 10 powerhouse, and only losing 2 games all season. We finally had our time to show everyone how good our program actually was. The 2019 lacrosse season holds some of my favorite memories, both good and bad. We had the 6th overtime game versus Farmington where Baker scored the game-winning goal, the JV game versus Hill Murray when Seth Ruckers dislocated his knee 15 seconds into his first game, and the bench sellies where everyone on the bench would take part, such as lifting someone up like the opening scene to The Lion King where Simba was lifted up versus CDH. However, my favorite memory is always going to be the day where we played Matamidi in the state tournament. We had gone into the tourney a lower seed than Mont, and we had just been knocked out of the top 10 spot at the end of the season. This had everyone on the team extremely upset as we had just beat multiple teams on the top 10. The boys were extremely hyped for the game. We were losing majority of the game, but I'll never forget when Danny McFadden shot that rung the crossbar at the very end of the half. You could tell the energy had changed, and even Coach Marks had stated that he knew we were going to win right when that happened. We were tied 6-6 going into the second half. Matamidi came out and scored twice in the third quarter, while we did not score. We were losing 6-8 entering the last quarter, but managed to bury 5 goals uncontested in the final quarter to pull ahead with the win. I'll never forget the energy on the bench and after the game. It was the first time an STA lacrosse team had gone to state, and we managed to have our 3rd upset in a row after wins against top 10 teams Egan and Eastridge. The quote, "I could run through a brick wall," had been said many times leading up to this game, typically before a tough game where we had to fight through adversity. Adversity is something Coach Marks had always preached, whether it was during the 2019, 2020, and now even the 2021 preseason. I've heard it every year I've played for him, but I did not fully understand until this previous year. Throughout quarantine, I took the amount of times Coach Marks talked about overcoming adversity to heart, and decided to go back through my life and find some examples. Some of the adversity I went through had good outcomes and some bad. The change in my life that caused both difficulty and good memories came from South Korea. Many of you know Wei Jin Chung, but not everyone knows that he lives with me. This has had its ups and downs throughout the 5 years. Sometimes we would get very annoyed at each other as we are practically polar opposites. Wei Jin has a great work ethic, which has shown in his GPA, or when my parents ask us to do something, and he does it right away, while I would just say I do it after one more game of COD and do it the next day. This had shown to be quite an annoyance for me as it showed in school as well, constantly getting my dad annoyed with me. Wei Jin always would have perfect grades while I tended to not do homework and focus more on sports and video games. Wei Jin and I do have some similarities, however. We both play lacrosse and we both play a lot of video games. This has led to many memories with him that I'll never forget, such as breaking the neighbor's fence multiple times with lacrosse balls, or checking him on the outdoor rink and him landing face first onto the ice. While neither of these ended with him being happy with me, they are definitely still memories that we can both laugh about. Another one of the biggest forms of adversity that I had faced was moving an hour away from small town Cambridge to St. Paul in order to attend the academy. Like the typical senior speech, I too had no desire to go to this school. The idea of going to military school was not very good in my 12-year-old head. After I shadowed Wyatt Isaac in my 6th grade year, I immediately switched mindsets. I quickly realized that it was going to be a tough adjustment. I noticed that I was no longer able to mess around all in class with my friends and that I actually had to pay attention and do homework. While it was not the stuff I was used to, like bringing my fishing stuff to school and heading down to the river after school with all my friends, I could still tell there was something special about the school. The start of 7th grade showed a ton of adversity for me. I was used to having easy A's and not having to work that hard. That all changed when I entered the 7th grade advanced algebra class. This class quickly showed me how much harder the school would be, as I didn't even know how to do math with decimals. I ended up dropping the class right away. Every year at the school has been very different from the last. Whether it was my first year in advanced algebra or this year in AP computer science, every year brings a different form of adversity that needs to be overcome. Everyone has different ways of doing this. It could be Wei Jin actually doing his homework to get through his class, or me procrastinating in order to enjoy all my free time. Both of us were able to overcome the adversity we faced, and both of us are perfectly happy with where we stand now. Adversity will be seen throughout your whole life, and everyone approaches it differently. Thank you. God bless.